I know you're gonna dig this.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and once again, welcome to the Funk Chronicles. I'm your host, Dr. Turk Logan, from Logan Communication and the Funk Music Hall of Fame and Exhibition Center. With me today, I'm very honored to have, we're going to confunctionize you. We have Mr. Felton Pilate. How you doing, bro?
I'm so blessed. How about you, man?
Good. I'm sitting here looking at the new album, and you know, my radio career started in 1971, so you know we played Confunctionize You and all of Confunction's music. It just fit right into the format, and I'm just so glad to be able to talk to you because, you know, 40 years ago we had hair on our head and didn't have it under our chin. So,
Right.
so you can remember those days. Tell me
I can.
about some of the members in the group today.
Okay. We still have three original members, currently playing with Confunction. There's Michael Cooper, the other lead singer in the group, and Carl Fuller, our original trumpet player, and myself. When we put the group back together in '93, for a while we had Paul Maceo Horrell with us on saxophone. Danny Thomas is still playing keyboards and doing production work in Vallejo. Haven't been in touch with Cedric for a while, so I have no idea. But last I heard, he's doing well.
Well, you know, it's so good because we just had Lester Trotman and Terry Zapp Trotman on, and of course, they're being from Dayton, Ohio. We've had a major history with them. But what's so good about it is they're still performing, they're in the studio, Confunction's still performing, still in the studio. You stood the test of time. You got a new CD out, man. I'm just so happy for you guys, and I hope it does well. Let's talk about the new CD.
Okay.
Tell me about it. I got it right here.
Okay. Let's see. Michael actually had a head start working on it. So he actually started on it about 3 years ago.
Okay.
And then he contacted me and said, "Hey man, I've already started on this project. We need to do some songs for a new CD, right?"
Right.
We didn't have a record company, so it was a matter of we just did it just because we could,
Right.
and actually because we should. We're still here, we're still doing it. And what was really cool about the particular project is that the way that we can get stuff done now, right? Back in the day, it was a case of had to get everyone together, sit in the studio, and I think the first day was spent getting drum sounds or whatever, and everyone had to be in the studio at pretty much the same time. We cut the rhythm, with everybody at the same time, and we'd be spending huge amounts of money in the studio. Nowadays, with today's technology, man, Mike would sit at home and record some parts, email me what he did. "Hey, Felton, need you to add some background vocals," and I'd go into my studio, I'd do it, email it back to him. I'd say probably about 2/3 of this album were done just like that.
Well, you know, the difference between now and then, somebody else put all that money up, a record label, and now you have to go in your pocket and spend thousands of dollars. Hopefully you'll be able to recruit that. So you have to believe in your project even more so than you did when somebody else was spending that money.
Absolutely. And we had a lot of faith in this,
Right.
And plus we had some wonderful studio musicians playing along with us. As a matter of fact, Tony is actually featured on one of the songs.
Okay.
The credits got left off of somehow left off the album credits, but the song "Once I Get In It" is actually should say featuring Tony.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about Confunction's history, because you guys have such a great history. Where did the name Confunction come from?
before I joined the group, Project Soul, as they were called, had did a concert with New Birth. You remember New
Oh
Birth?
yeah, seems like a
New
long
Birth.
time, yeah.
New Birth had a backup band that were called the Nightlighters, who later went on and had a solo success with KG.
Yeah, I remember them, the Nightlighters,
Remember
yeah.
that song? So anyway, according to Michael, they were sitting out. They were staying at the same hotel, and the Nightlighters were sitting out the pool playing a song that they wrote, and so they were practicing it, and the name of that song was called "Con Funk Shun."
Okay.
So later, when we were about to sign a recording contract in Memphis, Tennessee, the record company was concerned about the word soul. They said, the corporate decision of, well, we think the word soul is too confining, and you guys need to change your name. Um, After weeks of fighting and arguing, the word confunction was the only thing that we could agree on. And so, they were concerned about the word soul, but seemed to be okay with the word funk. Go figure.
Well, that brings up a good point because we went through the same pullback in the early 70s with the word funk because they thought it was so close to the other word. And
Right,
we wrestled with management and, of course, their ears they didn't have the ears that those of us in radio did. So whenever we say, we're going to funk you up in you, they thought they heard the other word. And
right,
so,
right.
I used to get called on the carpet on a regular basis until they got used to it. It took them quite a few years. It took them like 4 or 5 years to get used to the word funk, because then, a guy by the name of James Brown had a big song called Make It Funky,
Right, right.
And
Yeah.
so it kind of caught on, and it's just you went through the same thing with the word soul because they thought that you might be typecast in a certain genre, and and I tell you, man, it's the political changes with record labels that a lot of us have to go through because they just don't have the ears that we have.
Right, right, right. Yeah, yeah. Interesting story about that. When we were with Polygram, they called us when we had the To the Max LP out, right? I said, "Well, we're about to put out a single. What do you guys think it should be? Should it be Misgot the Body or should it be Love Train?" And we're like, "Oh, Love Train." Then fine, Misgot the Body it is.
Well, I tell you, when you guys did Love Train, I mean,
Mhm.
I just fell in love with that song because you had so many slamming hits like Chase Me and high-powered impact hits, and then you came out with this ballad, which gave a whole different side to you guys, man. And you're like, dang, they can sing this ballad, and it was just. And I own a radio station, internet radio station, and I still play Con Funk Shun's music on a daily basis to all my 40,000 listeners out there. So you still got a
Thank
supporter
you.
after all these years.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thanks,
Yep.
man. Actually, before Left Turn, we had a couple of ballads. There was "Let Me Put Love in Your Mind" from the Candy LP.
Right.
We did "By Your Side" on the Spirit of Love LP,
I remember that. I love
and
that tune.
I'll Set You Out Okay, which is from the Secrets LP. Yeah, and the other ones, came later, such as "Baby I'm Hooked." As a matter of fact, Polygram went back and they put out a CD of nothing but ballads, nothing but our popular ballads. I mean, and there was a whole CD, a
Well,
whole CD.
it's good that you're releasing new product after all these years out there. What's the plan? Is this out already, or is this coming out, or what's the plan for this new CD?
The new CD came out about 4 weeks ago, debuted at number 54 on the Billboard R&B charts a week
Congratulations.
ago. So we're very, very excited about it. Very excited.
Good, because then,
Yeah.
one of the things that happens to a group, when you have product out, you get tour support from, in some cases, it's the record label, but you guys are the record companies now. And so it's nice to play your music that you did 20, 30 years ago, but it's also nice to say we got something new that you can pick up also. So you can sell the CDs right there at the venues, right?
That's true. We can. But it's also available on like iTunes, Amazon, and I think you can get it at Best Buy.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Well, see, that's a
It's
good
still
thing.
available.
And so when
Yeah.
you're doing your own marketing and you're out there, with the other groups, that you got product out there, and you got new product out there, and I wish you all the luck and all the success. What
Thank you.
was some of your memorable experiences out there on the road?
Ooh. Okay. The biggest immediate one that comes to mind was the summer of 1972.
Okay.
This is when we were still Project Soul, and probably the singularly most important event that got us to where we are today. Right? We had did we were called to be the backup band for the Soul Children when they were visiting. Yeah, the Stax recording group, the Soul Children.
Right.
They were visiting the Bay Area and they needed a backup band, so they used Project Soul, right? Us.
Okay.
I was playing in another band, but Michael called me in just to play extra and play trumpet, right?
Okay.
And so a year later, when they came back, the summer of '72, Michael and I went to their concert over in Oakland with Norman West, the lead singer of the group. And after the show, he's like, what are you guys doing now? And one of us said, oh, well, we're just hanging out, just waiting to be your backup band. And he went, oh. And he fired his backup band and hired us.
Okay.
2 weeks later, we're getting packed up from living with our parents, and and we're packing up and we're moving from Vallejo, California to Memphis, Tennessee to go out on the road to be the backup band for the Soul. Now that was August 4th.
What was that experience like?
Well, since we had never been out of the Bay Area other than a couple of trips down to LA, it was exciting. But the big thing is what happened on the 22nd. Okay. So we're just talking 2 weeks later, right? We're playing in front of 104,000 people at the LA Coliseum. The Barcades, the Emotions, Johnny Taylor for the Wattstax Festival. Okay. And Rufus Thomas. That was probably, a whole thing with the Soul Children moving us to Memphis is what triggered us getting the record deal with the record company in Memphis, which triggered getting the deal with Mercury Records up in Chicago. And you see what I mean? So it started a chain of events that led us to where we are today.
Well, that experience, being on stage in front of those thousands of people, I mean, it had to be an awesome experience for a young band.
I bet we were too scared to make a mistake. Yeah. Oh, that's right, because they were filming not only the concert, but they were filming a live record and making a movie at the same time.
Okay.
So you can find the movie now. It's called Wattstax because every year Los Angeles does the Watts Music Festival.
Right.
And that particular year, Stax Records got with them saying, well, you know what? Why don't you let us provide the music in exchange for the rights to do this movie? And they call it Wattstax. That highly significant concert.
When in that era, when you are performing and then you get the opportunity to do a movie and do the music for a movie, that's got to be a nice trip to experience.
Oh yeah. I mean, to go from being a top 40 band just 3 weeks earlier, man, it's huge. Yeah. It's like here, it's fresh out of high school. Hi, we're now going to bring you into come be an astronaut.
Exactly.
You got 3 weeks to learn what you need to do.
In your early days of musicianship, what were some of the drawbacks that you experienced before you? I mean, sometimes I remember when I was a little guy, I wanted to do this, and I would tell my mother and my grandparents, well, this is what I think I want to do. And they're like, yeah, right. You want to be a radio announcer. You can't hardly even talk, So What were some of the experiences in growing up before you became the musician that you are today?
Man, you know what? I have to be honest. Say I had no negative things happen. My
Good.
my mother my mother my mother was a musician.
Okay.
She majored in music, and so she was totally supportive. I mean, she got me trumpet lessons, piano lessons. I mean, voice lessons. I mean, she was totally supportive in what I wanted to do with music. However, I do need to tell you that even today, years later, she's still hoping that I get a real job. She still
Well,
wants to make it a real, quote, a real job. But no, she was totally supportive. And even when I wanted to switch to playing guitar, she's like, well, I'm not going to pay for lessons. I'm like, not a problem. So I taught myself guitar and and trombone. But well, Mom, I need to join this other band here. They already have a trumpet player. They already have a guitar player, keyboard player. I need a trombone so I can play with the other group. She said, fine. Good luck on that.
well,
I'm not going to hold you back.
you brought up a
Go
real
ahead.
good point. You say your mother majored in music, so that
Yes.
meant she went to school. And
Yes.
those of us here at the Funk Music Hall of Fame and Exhibition Center, we have an educational piece for our young people to learn some of the things you learned at an early age. How
All
important
right.
is education tied into the music business?
Oh, yeah. First of all, I need to say that it is called the music business for a reason. Okay? It is
Yeah.
called the music business for a reason. To be educated on that part, because what we do, I would say, is pretty much equal parts music and business.
Right.
I'm being totally serious about that. Uh, so I could see it as an serious advantage, to get some education in business management. You know,
Well, you hit the nail on the head because being around for a few years, I've seen so many groups get tied up in the record company contracts and can't move forward because they didn't read the contract or understand the contract when they signed the contract on the front end, and then all of a
hmm
sudden they can't do anything until the contract expires and it's self-renewed for another 5 years. And when that 5 years comes up, the group's not the same anymore. So I think it's important because, like you said, and both of us agree on, it's called show business. That our
Hello.
young people understand the business part of show.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's and there've been probably several examples that you can probably think of where even the business totally overshadowed the talent of the artist. That you look back and you see someone that's like, dang, how'd they get a record deal? And but they've got this huge money machine going on behind them and promotion and stuff like that. I mean, there's like several elements in getting a hit record, and the promotion of the record probably being the number one factor,
Well, we just
the
finished
number
talking
one factor.
to two of your colleagues in the music business, Lester Trotman and his brother Zap Trotman, Terry Trotman, and
Hmm.
they've been in the music
Right?
business as long as can function. But what was impressive to me in talking to them just a few minutes ago was Zap's son. This young
Hmm.
man, probably in his late 20s, was so impressive when he started talking about the record business that I was just kind of blown away because he knows record company contracts and he books his groups and he knows about the amount of money that the group is supposed to be getting and how they should get there and things of this nature. And I've always told the Trotmans I had so much respect for them because they were a self-contained family up
Right.
until, even though we lost Roger and Larry, but they're still continuing today, and I think that's a very important message that we get across to our youngsters. If you're going to be in this business, understand the business of music.
Absolutely. You know, it's way more than just getting on stage and just playing. I mean, for me, that's still the remaining fun part. That hour and a half that I spend on stage entertaining about, that's still the fun part. And then that's and actually the only reason why why I still do this. I value the fun. But it's been an interesting education because actually our lack of knowledge of the music business, I'm going to say, helped, but that's what got us into trouble in our first contract that we signed.
Right.
But the fact that we got into the trouble again, I talk about a chain of events. Us getting into that trouble started that chain of events that got us to where we are here. So we had a very painful but painful, expensive lesson.
Well, yeah, and they usually are. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Funk Chronicles with your host, Dr. Turk, Logan, and Felton Pilate with Con Funk Shun. You're going to be appearing in Denver, Colorado coming up soon and performing some of the great hits and maybe some of the new hits. Tell us how you're preparing to get ready for that big concert coming up.
Oh man, we actually have a new rehearsal coming up on the 24th, 25th, and 26th. We're gonna lock ourselves away, pretty much reinvent ourselves for those three days. In preparation, we're adding at least 3 new songs to the show.
Okay.
And reconfiguring some other stuff. We're already doing Your Night from the new album.
Okay.
We got to do I Miss You, and we're gonna add Taboo, probably add Taboo, and one other song. We haven't figured out what it is yet.
Well,
but we're really excited. Go ahead.
In talking to David Webb, who's the president and CEO of the Funk Music Hall of Fame and Exhibition Center, I know he's involved in the planning of this concert, and it's nice. Even from my perspective, I was just talking to Tom Shelby of Lakeside, and Tom Shelby and I went to grade school together. So we had history when we were talking about history 50 years ago. But it's always nice to be in a crowd or an audience and hear some of the old favorite tunes that you've been used to hearing on the radio.
I totally agree. And since we were just talking about Lakeside for a second, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm a Lakeside fan. Anytime we're on the same show and they're on stage, I'm in the audience watching. I still enjoy watching them.
Well, that energy came out of Dayton, Ohio, and many other groups that came from Dayton, Ohio. Zap, Lakeside, Heat Wave, Sun, Dayton, the Ohio Players. And the list goes on and on and on. We're just proud to have been able to be a part of that history. Felton, it's been an honor and a pleasure talking to you here on the Funk Chronicles, and hopefully we'll get a chance to fly out there to Denver to be one of those fans in the stands to see you perform.
All right.
Lots of luck, God bless, and keep on funking on.
Thanks, man. You too. Hey, man, and let's do this again.
Let's do this again. All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. I'm Dr. Turk Logan from Logan Communication and the Funk Music Hall of Fame and Exhibition Center. Glad to see you, and we'll see you next time.